Welcome back to Edinburgh for our latest episode of Box 2 in partnership with Best Western Hotels GB, supporting local, proudly independent hotels. Welcome back to Box 2 in partnership with Best Western's Hotel GB. I'm Jamie Jones-Buchanan and I'm joined this week by Papua New Guinea international Tara Moxon and obviously a member of our Leeds Rhinos Women's team. Let's jump straight into this last weekend because it was an interesting one. The women finished in similar fashion to the men in the way they started the weekend, obviously finishing the 80 minutes with a draw. The difference being, though, there's no golden point in the women's game. So you go away from your Valkyrie, great result really, and a good performance from the women's team there, but you get a point in the league, whereas the men obviously didn't quite get the job done. Great contest, we'll talk about that in a minute, but no spoils. And a lot of fans actually come up to me as if I've made the rules up and go, oh, that's an Ellen's game, the OKR game. You know, if I'd have got a point out of it with a condensed league at the minute, certainly at the top, it could make a difference. But how did you feel to come away from York with a point?
I mean, it's a massive shame, really, isn't it, that we can't go into extra time and do golden points.
Right.
Like, we were all saying, I think it just shows how much the women's game has moved forward.
Yep.
That everyone, even the fans, they're wanting to see more of the game. They're wanting to get an end result when it's that close between us and York. So I think, yeah, it's better than what we did before because I think we lost our last game when we were playing at home, but we're not satisfied with it. We are better than that, and yeah, we can only get better in true Leeds Rhinos fashion.
Well, I was being really positive because I rang Lois. Obviously, I saw the game, I was there, I was fortunate to get over. And back in the day, you know, when you used to get bonuses at end of every month, it all went on whether you won or you lost, right? So you used to get a bonus. But the draw was always contentious, so the way they worked it out was an away draw was a win, so you got a bonus.
Yeah.
A home draw was counted as a loss, so I says to Lois, listen, on the bonus in old money, it's definitely a win, but it was a good performance because York Valkyrie, an outstanding team, so to go then and get the draw, and to be fair, we just didn't kick the goals, did we? I think we scored 3 tries to 2, so better side, but didn't quite get the goals in the end.
It was difficult because I think in the last 5-10 minutes when it was really close, a lot of the possession was in our half when they were attacking. So, I mean, we did hold our own out and we didn't let them. They tried 2 or 3 times to kick a drop goal, but we didn't let them have it. So I think we did, you know, try and pull it together in the end, but I think it just goes to show we need more of possession in their territory rather than ours.
Yeah, but it was a positive performance going into a Challenge Cup semi-final. Just jumping back to the men's game, 3 weeks on the run really, getting some really positive wins. Didn't quite get the result, but again, the wall of evidence, the boys are playing well. They look really happy, and it's great being in and around the boys in the place. And you think going into the playoffs, you know, certainly with Salford starting to drop down there now, and the condensed nature, I think everybody outside the top 2 is all scratching their heads and looking a bit frantic. There's still an opportunity for the men's team to go on and do something special this year, isn't there?
100%. I mean, it's a shame that that game turned out that way because they do have so much potential, and I know Rowan will be asking loads of questions of them in training this week.
Let's talk about you because you're a fascinating human being. I thought I was busy. I thought I had a lot to do. Right, listen to this. I didn't want to do it any injustice, so I wrote a little bit down. You're born and raised in an island called Rabaul in Papua New Guinea. Didn't want to pronounce that wrong. If somebody had said Bramley wrong, I'd have gone mad. You moved to England when you were 12. You're a grand final winner with the Leeds Rhinos women's team, obviously. You played in a World Cup with Papua New Guinea. I want to talk to you about that because I love World Cups. You're an artist. Reminds me of Adam Cuthbertson. Bit of a dab hand with a paintbrush, and I love your work. You've been showing me that as well. Painting primarily in oil colours as well. Love to travel. Now listen to this. Got a BSc in zoology and a master's in rainforest ecology.
Half a master's.
Half a master's. You're
Not quite there yet. I'm halfway through it.
Wow, this could be a long one. Stay tuned here. You work full-time as an associate ambulance practitioner as well. In fact, you've just done a fair stint last night, apparently, as well.
Yeah, I finished a night shift this morning.
Wow. And a medic in the British Army Reserves, as if that wasn't enough already. Loads going on there. So let's start at the beginning. Papua New Guinea. How did you transition over to UK? And you started playing rugby union, I think, first, over in Wakefield. Tell us about your early journey over here.
I mean, massive culture shock. If you've ever met any Papua New Guinean players, and I'm sure you would have played with a few, you'll know they're very different to English people. Like, the culture's so different. Like, English humour, PNG humour, how we live, how we sleep, how a house looks, you know, how a toilet looks, everything's different. But so when I first moved over here, it was a bit difficult. And I think in one of my first summers here, when we were at Barnsley Market with my dad and my granddad, I thought they were speaking Spanish because the accent was that thick. And I just thought, where am I? But yeah, I moved over here when I was 12. I went to a Quaker school. They believe in peaceful ways of dealing with things, not violent or aggressive ways. So they wouldn't let me play rugby because rugby is viewed as a violent sport. And so I was only able to play rugby until I was 18 years old at university, and that was rugby union. Right. So I thought, it's not quite rugby league, but next best thing, rugby union.
Tell us about those early experiences in playing with a group of people, starting to make friends, going on this journey.
I really found the rugby league community so much more welcoming and down to earth than the rugby union. So I played in the championship for rugby union, played for Yorkshire County, and you do see the difference between those two codes. And like you see the types of households and where people come from, how they're raised in the community of rugby union compared to rugby league. And it was a lot more homely when I came to rugby league. I started playing for Wakefield Trinity and then eventually moved to Leeds Rhinos. And I think, you know, the league is competitive. You know, you've got different types of players, different teams, but no matter where you go, everyone is down to earth. And it does stem from that sort of working man sport, honest type of sport.
And I went to Papua New Guinea in 2019 with England women team.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, as a media manager. I make a short film, series of films to show Sport England and the funders what had gone on, and it was brilliant. So I understand the context that you're talking about there. And there was another film called Power Mary as well.
Yeah, I love that film.
Talked about the women starting to play. How important is it for you to represent your own country in such as a World Cup and see the game grow there for the women?
I mean, ever since I moved here when I was 12, I've been homesick every single day. And to represent my country, like, I think when I started to sing the anthem, my first game, I was like transported back to when I was 7 years old, and at my school on the beachfront, I could just like hear all my classmates, because we have to sing the national anthem in the morning, every morning before school. And it was as if I was just like 7 years old again. I was a kid and I was like singing at school. It was beautiful. I
remember that. I remember going to a school and they did exactly that, and they were phenomenal. And I was with England Knights, so the year before this is 2018, and the England Knights started singing God Save the Queen at the time, and it was nowhere near as powerful. Everybody sort of scratching your head, but you did that every morning, and is that part of the routine?
Because we're so proud to be independent, and we're so proud to be Papua New Guinean, and you know, I think in Power Mary you see there's three things that unite Papua New Guinean people, because there's so many tribes in Papua New Guinea, like over 700 languages spoken. And so there's three things that unite Papua New Guineans. The first is Christianity, like God. The second is Tokpisin, Pidgin, which is a mixture of all the languages. And the third's rugby league.
Brilliant.
So all those are three very important things that unite everyone.
The dream rugby league. You like to travel as well. Tell me about some of the places that you've been, explored, experienced. Where's some of your favourite places to go? Now that I'm obviously still 4 years out of retirement and probably haven't travelled enough without a rugby ball in my hand, tell me where's a great spot to go and visit?
Rabaul, Papua New Guinea is obviously the first one to go to. If I had to choose anywhere, I'd go there, but it's like 2 days to get there, and the last leg of the journey is like on a little plane with, you can see the propellers flying outside of it, and you're not sure if it's going to make it there, but Rabaul is my favourite place to go to. But South America is actually probably one of the best places, like Colombia and Ecuador.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful places.
Closest I've been is Cuba.
Cuba?
Yeah, and I'd love to go to Japan as well.
Yeah, I want to go to Japan or South Korea.
Far East. Not been doing that. Tell me how you got into art. I mentioned the reference there to Adam Cuthbertson. I was always drawn to Adam because of his creative nature. I think by nature I'm creative, though I've flipped it a little bit. And in fact, my favourite place is behind the camera. I love that sort of version of storytelling. But those people who can manifest a vision into reality in an abstract way just keeps me thinking and looking. In fact, when I went to New York, I come back and I got a friend of mine to create a bit of a mosaic based on the photographs, and Jean-Michel Basquiat, who was a painter in the 80s, pretty much decorated New York back then in that really sort of grungy industrial way. What was it about oil paints that sort of ignited your imagination?
My grandma was an artist, and so she sold loads of oil paintings, and she brought me up painting, and just inspired by her, really.
And you throw a bit of that around on Instagram as well? Like,
Yeah. Well,
showcase it?
I think you just need it. Like when I do two of my big jobs, like rugby and ambulance work, it's a lot of like adrenaline, fast-filled environments, and you need somewhere to like fill your cup up and just like refresh yourself. And I think it's important to have a balance.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, without getting too corny, it was like Picasso that said that, art washes away the dust of everyday life, something like that, and it's so important. So
I love some of the Picasso quotes.
yeah.
There's another one that I'll bring up in a little minute. Tell us about the painting of your mum with the Refugee Week.
Yeah, it's a very important painting to me because a couple of years ago, unfortunately, my mum, she went into some issues with immigration in the Home Office, and it gave myself and my family a very big insight into how immigrants really are treated in the UK, and just how even refugees as well are treated. So unfortunately, my mum had to go back to Papua New Guinea, and she was about to claim this thing called leave to remain, which basically means that you have the same rights as a British citizen. And unfortunately, the UK government took that off her, and she had to be sent back to Papua New Guinea. And this Christmas that I went back was the first time I'd seen her in, I think, 5 years. And that was when it all happened, and it was a very difficult time for myself and my family because, you know, I'm half English. My dad's English is Yorkshireman, and I found it very difficult at the time to feel British because I felt like, I don't know, I was a bit betrayed by the British government, this place I'm meant to call home. And so I made that painting to finally like put it to rest, this very difficult time. And I found it difficult to talk about it since then. It's been like 5 years.
Wow.
But seeing my mum over Christmas really helped me put that away.
That's amazing. Can I, if you don't mind, I know it's obviously personal and it's obviously emotional for you, but I'd like to unpack that a little bit because people talk about meditation or journaling.
Yeah.
You know, a means through which you can sort of move things to one side and have closure with it. I think that's really interesting how you've used art to do that whilst it being a reminder and maybe even a protest to a certain point in your life without me putting words into your mouth. Is that something that you use therapeutically as well, your art, to manifest some of the ideas or move some of those ideas that you need to move away or even celebrate?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, a lot of pain came out of that experience, and art is an expression. I think the best forms of art are of pain. You know, like a lot of artists through that whole COVID period and even before that, they released a lot of art, like when Trump was president, without getting too political, but you see a massive explosion of art whenever someone's going through pain. And yeah, it was cathartic. I guess that's the word.
Love it.
It feels good to do something.
Zoology, talk to me. BSc, honours in zoology. How did that come about and what was that experience like?
So my dad, he's an agricultural scientist.
Right.
He's got a PhD in zoology, and he kind of like, I don't want to say pushed me down that route, but when you grow up in a place like Papua New Guinea where it's largely unexplored, it's like the last frontier in the world. There's rainforest. I grew up on a volcanic island. You know, there's such beautiful coral reefs. It's hard not to want to like appreciate those surroundings. Yep. And so I've always loved spending time outside in the rainforest and the study of ecology, which is like how everything interacts with one another. And so I did my degree at university. Instead of going to art school, I wasn't sure, but I did my degree, and it honestly didn't even feel like work. And if I had the chance, I would go back and do it all over again. Yeah.
How does that help you in life, support you? Is that part of something or someone you want to become down the line? I'm thinking from an ESG point of view, you know, the environment, social governance, a big thing for companies and businesses now. I think as we go down the climate change route, not least because the planet seems to be searing hot at the minute, 45, 50 degrees in some places.
Just today, yeah.
And some of the coral reefs and the beautiful places like PNG start to suffer as a consequence of that. Is that what you would like to do, affect change somewhere down the line and be a small part in it?
That is what I set out to do. So when I did my degree in zoology, I wanted to work in rainforest conservation. But it was actually in doing that degree in zoology that it really opened my eyes up to like just how bad the whole situation is. And I did my dissertation, which is the big project at the end of the BSc, in Papua New Guinea on my island, where there's you know how like you see in the news, loads of people in the Amazon tribe, loads of big companies come in, destroy all the rainforests and plant their own forest stuff. Well, that essentially happened on my island with palm oil trade. And so when I did my dissertation there, it really hit home for me because I saw how, you know, indigenous people that have been living on this land for hundreds and hundreds of years just got it stolen from them, taken away, and, you know, no one's really doing anything about it. And I think that kind of pushed me away from that route because I thought, wow, this actually kind of hurts. It's not just depressing, but it kind of hurts. So I'm still taking a break from that. I don't know if I want to go back to it, but that's why I'm working with the ambulance service now, because it's a bit less depressing, ironically.
How did you find that, the ambulance service? Because it's a bit of a shift, isn't it? Obviously, you look and sound like a caring person. Is that a benevolent thing where you want to engage with others who, you know, struggling, or in triage? What drew you to the ambulance service?
I think just because there's more of like a success rate than in rainforest conservation.
Okay.
So like you can physically see, like it's a hands-on job, and I'm a very hands-on person, visual person, and like you can see the good that you're doing physically. Whereas when I was trying to like go down this career of rainforest conservation, there's a very little success rate. Like you're almost fighting a losing battle. Yeah. But like, I mean, one of my favorite patients that I work with in the ambulance service is just older people that are probably in not the best place of their life, and they've had to call the ambulance service. And a lot of older people really do try and stick it out. Even if they're going in pain, they try not to ask for help. And when someone's asking for help, it's a really big thing to them. So I've got a lot of time for older people in my line of work.
So tell us what drew you to the British Army Reserves and some work that you've done there.
So it was actually the opposite. So like, I forgot to say, the British Army Reserves is what inspired me to go join the ambulance service. So I got a taste for it. It was when I was at university, they were like wanting to hire university students to train them as officers, and I got a taste for it there. I thought, actually, I don't really want to be a manager effectively. That's an officer in the army. But there was one staff sergeant there that was a medic, and he's gone and served tours in that, and I saw him like just doing first aid just to someone. I thought, wow, this is incredible what you do, and I think I'd like to do that. So transferred over as a medic in the Army Reserves, and I've completed my training, and I think once my rugby career calms down, I'm hoping to be deployed. That's the plan anyway.
What do you mean by it calms down? Give me a bit of an insight into your 1 year, 3 year, 10 year goals, hopes, aspirations, dreams. What might that look like?
So at least 5 years, I think. Yeah. Stick it out with rugby for a bit.
Of course.
And then life's a journey. So after that, maybe I retire or something. Then I'd like to get deployed and go wherever they need me.
Let's talk about something we can predict, right? And that's the next game, because you're going to jump into a Challenge Cup semi-final. Dangerous one, because last time played against Wigan, it was 52 points to 0. So there's a danger of complacency. That won't happen, I'm sure, because Lois Forsell will be all over it. But it must be exciting when you think about the prize of potentially going on to Wembley if you get the job done.
I mean, all of our focus is on this weekend. We're trying not to think too much about Wembley. Yeah. It means a lot to us. We are so excited at training. There's so much positivity, so much drive, and we're unlocking that next level of aggression. And it's just the atmosphere it's really good in training right now. Really looking forward to it.
It feels like that across the club, honestly. I mean, my young boys are part of it, from the youth right through the women's, and it's exciting. Thinking about the process, listening to Rowan Smith, that's exactly what our first team group does. But listen, being a creative person, and you're in box 2, so we can do what we want. This is my little environment. Just, I don't know, you're an artist. Tell me what it might look and feel like to walk out of Wembley.
Oh, electric, emotional, those are 2 words I'm going to use.
Brilliant. Well, I hope it comes. Another team, Leeds Rhinos team, that's made it through to a Challenge Cup final is our wheelchair rugby league team. They won all their games and drew with the Catalan Dragons, and they will meet Catalan now in the final. So an exciting time for James Simpson and Nathan Collins, Tom Halliwell, some of our players, Jodie Boyd-Ward, who we've had on recently as well, Verity Smith, potentially going on to win the 4th consecutive wheelchair rugby league Challenge Cup final. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
I mean, they're such a strong team, our team with the disability and wheelchair team. Like, we've got every faith in them that they'll pull it through.
The LDSL Festival was outstanding as well at Hull University, and PDRL won both of their games. It's been an interesting weekend for the Leeds Rhinos. We're all marching on together, lots on the horizon. Can't wait to see you all again here at Headingley Stadium. But in the meantime, big thanks to Tara Moxon for joining us in Box 2 in partnership with Best Western Hotels GB. Up to you again soon. Have a great week. God bless.